Well, hello everyone, I'm Jackson Haney from Insane Internet Wrestling, and welcome to Wrestling Done Right, where I take wrestling storylines that I feel didn't live up to expectations and try to make them better, all for the sake of good storytelling. First and foremost, since this is the first video of the new year, I want to wish everybody a happy new year. Hope everyone had a excellent 2023, and I want to welcome you all to the new year that is 2024. And to kick off the new year in exciting fashion, this episode is going to be looking at the 2024 Men's Royal Rumble match. This Rumble is actually shaping up to be one of the most exciting in recent memory because, well, first and foremost, it's got CM Punk's first WWE pay-per-view match in a literal decade. And on top of that, there's some possible exciting returns and debuts. You just don't know what could happen. And that's really never been more true than this year. I mean, it's true every year, but this year feels different in a good way. But before we begin, a few quick points first. I'm recording this on Sunday, January 7th, 2024. We're less than 3 weeks out from the event, and if people are confirmed for the match but they're not in this booking, you now know why. I tried to keep it as concise as possible, and I've had this thing written for like a week, so yeah, you get what you get, so roll with it. Now, I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's just go ahead and jump into it. The 2024 Men's Royal Rumble match. Let me see what I can do. So starting us off at entrant number 1 is Randall Keith Orton. Orton is just coming off of an injury that has plagued him for a literal year and a half. His first pay-per-view match was back at Survivor Series, and he's in quite possibly the best shape of his life in his early 40s. And I kind of want to test that by putting him at number 1 and seeing if he can go the distance. Now, his dance partner at number 2 is, to me, very satisfying because entrant number 2 is Jimmy Uso. Now, Jimmy's role in this match serves a big purpose. He, along with one other guy, they're an insurance policy for Roman. See, Roman knows that as the top guy in the company, sorry Seth, he has a target on his back, especially with Cody Rhodes confirming himself for the Rumble. He doesn't want to face Cody again. He don't want to face anybody, in fact. He's done. He's like, I'm going to take WrestleMania off this year. So he's putting Jimmy in the match to make sure that if he wins, he doesn't have to face anybody. So, makes sense on his part. But there's also plenty of history between Jimmy Uso and Randy Orton. Remember, the Usos injured Randy Orton, having him written off TV and gone for the foreseeable future. And Randy, when he returned, made it explicitly clear he wanted the bloodline basically dead. What better way to have that happen than in the Rumble? So the two start off, they're doing some back and forth matchup, plenty of heat there, when in comes entrant number 3, Cody Rhodes. Now, Rhodes, yes, he won the Rumble last year, and there are plenty of people who think he could win this year, but I'm having him enter early for a few reasons. One, spoiler, Cody ain't winning here. He's just not. I hate to break it to you, he's not. 2, this factors into the story between himself and Roman. See, Roman has a meeting with Nick Aldis. He's obviously not happy about having to defend the belt in the Fatal 4-Way, remember? But he obviously retains because he's going to lose it at WrestleMania, clearly. So he has a meeting with Nick Aldis and says, in return for you booking this Fatal 4-Way match, I want something in return. I want Cody Rhodes to enter early, meaning that he does not have a chance to win and cannot challenge me for the championship. And with Cody entering at number 3, Roman gets his wish. So Cody enters, and he and Randy immediately start teaming up on Jimmy. They hit him with like a double RKO or something. I mean, they can't do it with Edge. Edge isn't there. So Cody takes his place because, you know, legacy and all that. And then Randy and Cody look at each other. They're like, oh, hey, buddy. And then they start battering each other. Entrant number 4 is Otis. He's accompanied to the ring by Maxine Dupree. He comes in and hits body slams on everyone. Hits one on Cody, hits one on Randy, he hits one on Jimmy, and then sets up the Caterpillar. Attempts the elbow drop, Jimmy moves out of the way. Jimmy hits Otis with a super kick and then tries to eliminate him, but he can't because, well, Otis is a big dude. So Otis body slams him again and then hits him with the elbow drop portion of the Caterpillar. Then Otis starts celebrating and has a nice little dance in the middle of the ring. Just, you know, there's no one else standing, so he's going to have a little dance. Maxine has a little dance at ringside. And then out comes, to interrupt it, number 5, Jinder Mahal. the bane of everyone's existence. Mahal comes out, he has a microphone in his hand saying, "I will not let The Rock's interference disrupt the fact that I am a former WWE champion and that automatically gives me a statistical advantage in this match. I will use that statistical advantage to win the Royal Rumble and go on to reclaim the WWE Championship at WrestleMania." He gets in the ring and actually backs it up for a little bit because, Jinder's not terrible. You heard what I said. So we're going to give him a tiny bit of a nice moment. So Jinder enters the ring. He manages to hit a DDT and a Khallas on Otis before eliminating him. He then celebrates saying, "Former WWE champion, modern day Maharaja," and all that. And then he turns around, Randy Orton standing there, RKO, out goes Jinder Mahal. Then comes entrant number 6, Ludwig Kaiser, who enters and immediately starts confronting Jimmy Uso on how Imperium is stronger than the Bloodline. And let's be honest, it is. Jimmy attempts a super kick on Kaiser, but Kaiser catches it, spins him around, and hits him with a clothesline. Kaiser then targets Cody Rhodes, tries to hit a clothesline on him, Cody dodges, and then hits his springboard cutter. Then comes entrant number 7, Braun Breaker. Breaker has been ruling NXT with an iron fist these past few years, and it seems as though Shawn Michaels is meticulously preparing him for the main roster. He's treating him as a special case because, well, the dude's a monster. He wants his main roster run to go well and not in the same vein as, the Ascension. Ugh. So by having him in the Rumble, we're going to slowly integrate him into the main roster for an eventual main roster run. Breaker enters the ring and then hits a clothesline on everybody. He comes face to face with Randy Orton. Orton attempts an RKO. Breaker counters and hits his spear, which, and this is no lie, it is the best spear in wrestling. You heard me. Breaker's then interrupted by Cody Rhodes. Breaker attempts another spear. Cody moves out of the way, sends Breaker through the middle rope, and then Breaker immediately jumps back in and hits the spear anyway, just proving how dominant Braun Breaker can really be. Then enters number 8, Butch, the former Pete Dunne. He enters the ring, starts squaring up to Braun Breaker. Breaker shrugs him off, conceivably not thinking of him as a threat. And Butch makes him pay for this by doing that thing where he snaps his fingers. It's gross and it's awesome. Butch then turns his attention to Ludwig Kaiser, and the two start going back and forth before they knock each other down with double clotheslines. Everyone is down in the ring, and then the buzzer goes off for entry number 9, and then we get some epic music. Very similar to Goldberg, right? So there's pyro on the entrance ramp. Everyone looks towards the ramp to see who it is, and then out comes entrant number 9, Gilbert. Yes, I am that evil. Look, you gotta have fun, and Gilbert is stupid, but it's a fun kind of stupid, and it's one of those things that you can work with every few years. Like, you don't need it every single night, but once every few years is fun. You can get away with it. So Gilbert enters the ring and screams, "Who's first?" Because, it's the jobber. And then Jimmy Uso immediately super kicks him and eliminates Gilbert. So there's your comedy, everybody. In that time, the countdown for entry number 10 ends. The buzzer goes off, and you hear this. I can't play the music because I'll probably get copyright stricken, so I'll just recreate it here. It's CM Punk. CM Punk is entry number 10. That's what I'm getting at. Punk comes in and hits roundhouse kicks on everybody. He is running wild, in a sense. He clotheslines Ludwig Kaiser over the top rope. He's eliminated. Turns around, hits Butch with a knee to the face, eliminates him as well. That's 2 people in the span of 10 seconds. Punk is then hit with a super kick by Jimmy Uso, who goes to eliminate him, but Punk counters and hits a GTS. Jimmy rolls under the bottom rope and goes and stands next to Roman Reigns. And that's another thing I should probably bring up. The world champions, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, are seated ringside watching the match. Roman was furious when Cody came in. Rollins was furious when Punk came in because, I'm equal opportunity when it comes to being furious. Punk then turns his attention to Braun Breaker, who he knocks down with another knee strike, goes up to the top rope, and hits his elbow drop. He then has a 3-way brawl between himself, Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton, which ends with all 3 of the men down in the middle of the ring. Then out comes number 11, Grayson Waller. Waller does not enter the ring immediately. He walks over to where Rollins is sitting and tries to cozy up to him. He's like, "Hey, buddy, just forget this match. Let me get a shot at that. What do you say?" Rollins tells him to buzz off, basically. So Waller's like, okay then, buddy. Roman, how you doing? He walks over to Roman Reigns, who beside him is Paul Heyman and, more importantly, Jimmy Uso, who is still in the Rumble, by the way. Jimmy steps in front of Waller. Waller basically gives him this look. It's like, I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of anyone in the bloodline. Out comes number 12, Solo Sikoa, the other insurance policy for Roman Reigns. And Waller's expression instantly changes from, I'm not scared of you, to, I regret all of my life choices. He tries to run away, but Jimmy catches him, throws him back in the ring, hits him with a super kick, and Solo hits him with the Samoan spike before tossing him out, eliminating Grayson Waller. Solo and Jimmy then turn their attention to Orton. Orton tries to fight back, but is knocked down by Jimmy and Solo. Then, Jimmy and Solo are interrupted by Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. They almost come to blows, but they are interrupted by an enraged Braun Breaker, who basically knocks down everybody and then squares up to Solo Sikoa. He hits Solo with a spear, but not content, goes to the corner and sets up another, but he's hit by a Samoan spike from Solo, and Solo eliminates Braun Breaker. Then in comes entrant number 13, Noam Dar, who is immediately attacked by Solo Sikoa. Solo throws him into the corner, tries to hit him with a spike, but Dar, using his quickness, dodges it and manages to kick him in the face. Dar then turns around into some punches from Jimmy, but Dar manages to knock him to the ground with a Russian leg sweep. Then in comes entrant number 14, Ricochet, who enters with a springboard drop kick, kicking Noam Dar in the face. Ricochet then hits a handspring enziguri on Solo Sikoa, but it does absolutely nothing. Sikoa picks up Ricochet, throws him into Jimmy Uso. Jimmy catches him in sort of a powerbomb position, but Ricochet counters, hitting Uso with a Hurricane Rana, which sends Jimmy flying into Solo Sikoa. Then comes number 15, Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura enters and immediately targets Cody Rhodes. He hits him with a Kinshasa right off the bat, then takes off the top turnbuckle pad and starts slamming his head into it repeatedly. He then stops, and you can see just a tiny bit of blood on Cody's head. It's not like Eddie Guerrero Judgment Day 2004 levels of bad, because we do not want that. We do not want this pay-per-view TVMA like that one was, but just a little bit, just so you know, hey, that friggin' hurt. This lights a fire within Cody, who charges for Nakamura, but Nakamura moves out of the way, and Cody hits his head on the opposite top turnbuckle, which has also had the pad removed by Shinsuke. In comes number 16, Kevin Owens, who targets Nakamura right off the bat, hitting him with a pop-up powerbomb. He then turns around and has a stare down with CM Punk. Because, you know, it'd be magic. It really would. So the two start going back and forth. Punk looks for GTS. Owens counters, hits him with a stunner. He then turns around to see Randy Orton, who goes for an RKO, but Owens counters that with another stunner, and then he steps up to Cody Rhodes, and he's like, sorry, buddy, and then hits him with a third stunner, and like summoning Beetlejuice, out comes entrant number 17, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, yes, it is very unlikely to happen, but it wouldn't be entirely out of the realm of possibility. 2 years ago, Steve Austin wrestled in the main event of WrestleMania, so I don't think a Royal Rumble appearance is out of the question. So Austin comes in and immediately hits Kevin Owens with a stunner, who rolls underneath the bottom rope, avoiding any more confrontation. Austin then hits stunners on Noam Dar and then throws him out of the ring, hits some punches on Ricochet to what chance from the crowd before throwing Ricochet out of the ring. He then comes face to face with Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura attempts the red mist. Austin ducks, hits Nakamura with a stunner. Shinsuke then falls back into the arms of Cody Rhodes, who hits a crossroads, and then Cody Rhodes eliminates Shinsuke Nakamura. Then in comes entrant number 18, Dragon Lee, who enters and immediately targets Jimmy Uso, hits him with several kicks, and Uso is struggling to keep up with Dragon Lee's quickness. Dragon Lee then hits Jimmy Uso with a reverse Hurricane Rana, but is then smacked with a right hand by Solo Sikoa, and Solo starts throwing him around the ring, basically toying with the guy. Solo is then interrupted by CM Punk and Randy Orton. Punk hits him with a knee, and Orton hits him with an RKO. Punk then plops down in the corner and looks across the ring in the other corner to see the Texas Rattlesnake. Steve Austin and CM Punk then both stand up, walk to the center, and have a stare down. They look ready to come to blows, but they're interrupted by Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa, who ruin everything with their presence. Punk fights off Jimmy and then goes to hit Solo in the back of the head. He hits him and then pats Austin on the shoulder. Austin raises his hand, but then gives him the double birds and then hits him with a stunner. Jimmy then interrupts this by hitting Austin with a super kick, and Solo hits him with a spike and then eliminates Stone Cold Steve Austin. Then comes entrant 19, Logan Paul, who is flanked to the ring by security guards almost as if it's a boxing match. And the whole time during his entrance, he is hoisting the United States Championship high over his head. Yes, Logan Paul, in this booking, is still the United States Champion. He cheats to retain against Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble. So he enters the ring and starts hitting a flurry of punches on everyone. CM Punk, Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens especially. And then he just celebrates like he's basically beaten Mike Tyson. So, riding high, buddy. Dragon Lee then springs back up and hits Paul with an enziguri. Tries to eliminate him, but Paul counters, turns him around, hits him with a low blow. He then grabs Dragon Lee by the mask, no less, just to be that much of a prick, and throws him over the top rope, eliminating him. And then out comes number 20, Rey Mysterio. Now, I understand that at the moment, Mysterio is off TV with injury, but according to various reports, he is expected to be cleared by the time the Rumble comes around. So I think I'm okay here. So Rey comes out and consoles the already eliminated Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee then says, Logan Paul did this, and Rey's like, don't worry, I got this. Rey enters the ring and starts beating up Logan Paul. Hits him with a Hurricane Rana, sends him into the ropes, and then hits him with a 619. Tries to eliminate Logan Paul, but Logan Paul hits him with the brass knucks, calling back to their match at Crown Jewel. So the men in the ring at the moment are Randy Orton, Jimmy Uso, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Solo Sikoa, Kevin Owens, Rey Mysterio, and Logan Paul. So the buzzer goes off for the next entrant, and it's... You're not going to believe this, but if you submit... Yeah, it's The Rock. The Rock comes out at entrant number 21, and I know what you're thinking. You're rehashing it from last year. And in a way, I kind of am. For those of you that don't know, in my booking from last year, which you should totally watch, by the way, click here if you haven't seen it. You need to see it. Click here to see it. I had The Rock entering at number 30 and making it to the final 4. I'm having him here again, but only because it makes a whole lot more sense. Last year, it was nothing but a hunch that The Rock was going to show up. But this year, it feels like it's going to happen more than ever. Because The Rock has come out on Raw and basically said, hey, I want to sit at the head of the table. I want to fight Roman Reigns. So, what better way to do that than enter the Rumble? Now, he comes out and Steve Austin is just now making his way to the entrance ramp. The two look at each other and The Rock points at Solo and Jimmy and says, they do that to you? Austin says, they're your family. You sort them out. Rock just nods and makes his way down to the ring. Logan Paul's the only guy standing in the ring, so that's obviously the guy The Rock targets first. Hits him with various punches and then points to Rey Mysterio for a double team move, and the two connect on a spinebuster sit-down splash combo, which, I think that'd be pretty cool. Rey Mysterio then picks up Logan Paul and throws him over the top rope, eliminating him, getting his payback. And The Rock stands in the middle of the ring, soaking up the reaction from the crowd. He then has a stare down with Cody Rhodes, the two men who are gunning for Roman Reigns. The two stare at each other, they stare out to the crowd, and then they stare at Roman Reigns. Roman looks back almost defiant, saying, basically, neither of you are getting a shot at this. It's just not going to happen. Suddenly, Jimmy and Solo start attacking Cody and The Rock, but Cody and The Rock fight back. Cody hits a crossroads on Solo, and at the same time, The Rock hits a rock bottom on Jimmy. And then Rock throws out Jimmy, and Cody eliminates Solo. Then comes entrant number 22, LA Knight. He enters, and on the entrance ramp, he comes face to face with Logan Paul. Paul calls him a piece of trash and spits in his face, which leads to Knight hitting Paul with BFT, blunt force trauma, on the entrance ramp, possibly setting up a match between the two at WrestleMania. That's just wishful thinking on my part. Knight enters the ring and starts going back and forth with The Rock. Rock manages to hit a spinebuster, attempts a people's elbow, but Knight moves out of the way and hits BFT on The Rock. Knight then turns around into an RKO attempt from Orton. Knight counters, hits BFT again, and then eliminates Randy Orton. Then comes number 23, Carmelo Hayes, who has already started making a name for himself on SmackDown, and now he's going to make an even bigger name for himself by competing in the Rumble. He enters the ring and immediately starts squaring off with a guy he's faced once before, Kevin Owens. Owens tries to hit a pop-up powerbomb, but Hayes counters and hits nothing but net in midair. He normally hits it from the top rope, but Owens lifts him up into the air for the powerbomb. Hayes maneuvers it and then hits Owens with nothing but net as he's... You get it. Hayes then tries to hit an uppercut on CM Punk, who counters and hits Hayes with a running bulldog. And then out comes number 24, AJ Styles, who immediately targets Kevin Owens. Owens attempts a stunner on Styles, but Styles counters and hits him with a neck breaker. He then goes out to the apron and hits a phenomenal forearm on Kevin Owens before tossing him out. Hayes then tries to hit Styles with a powerbomb, but Styles counters and hits the Styles Clash on Carmelo Hayes, and then Hayes is then eliminated by AJ Styles. Styles then stares down CM Punk, throws Punk into the corner, and hits him with a running boot that looks oddly familiar. The countdown for the next entrant goes off. 3 words are heard. Well, 1 word's heard, but it's repeated 3 times. Woo, woo, woo. Out comes number 25, Zack Ryder. He returns to WWE after 4 years away to a thunderous ovation. Hopefully they go crazy for this. I'm really betting on them going crazy. He looks completely different from the Zack Ryder we all know and love. He looks more like Matt Cardona, but he enters acting like old school Zack Ryder. He's happy, he's excited, he's hyped, dare I say it. He then helps get Cody Rhodes, his real life best friend, up, and they're ready to fight off everybody in the match. He's like, come on, we got this, and then he turns around and clobbers Cody Rhodes. Not a heel turn, but he knows that in order to be taken seriously, he's got to take out the top dog. That's what Cody is at this point. Everyone's standing there stunned, and Ryder capitalizes on this, clotheslining AJ Styles over the top rope. He then locks up with Rey Mysterio. The two go back and forth for a few good minutes before in comes entrant number 26, Austin Theory, who enters and also starts attacking Rey Mysterio. Ryder pushes him out of the way, saying, "Hey buddy, I didn't need your help." Theory sarcastically responds, "I wasn't helping you," and then he slaps him in the face. Ryder does not take kindly to this, tossing him into the corner and then hitting him with a Rough Rider and eliminating Austin Theory like it's nothing. Then comes number 27, Drew McIntyre. McIntyre's music hits and The Rock's eyes shoot towards the entrance stage because he is well aware of what Drew McIntyre can do when he's angry. And Drew McIntyre is very angry. Rock and McIntyre go back and forth for a little bit before McIntyre hits The Rock with a Claymore. LA Knight then steps up to Drew, tries to hit him with BFT, but Drew counters, hits him with a Future Shock DDT. Knight stands up, ready for another fight, but then Logan Paul appears from the crowd and drags LA Knight out of the ring over the top rope, eliminating him, and the two continue to brawl on the outside. Then comes number 28, Jey Uso, which makes The Rock incredibly happy. The two enter and start teaming up on Zack Ryder, but Zack Ryder manages to fight out of it. He hits an elbow on Jey Uso and hits a broski boot on The Rock. But then he turns around into a clothesline from Cody Rhodes, which sends him over the top rope and down to the floor. And this next bit is just for me because it's my booking and I can do what I want, so I'm doing it. In comes number 29, Dominic Mysterio, who's accompanied by Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley. To an almost uncomfortable degree, she hypes him up. It's very weird and very uncomfortable for everybody watching. He then enters the ring and is immediately clotheslined over the top rope and to the floor by CM Punk and Rey Mysterio. Look, it's not like I hate Dominic Mysterio. I acknowledge the fact that he has improved drastically over these past few years. He's become one of the better heels in wrestling right now, but he's annoying. And my patience wears thin with things like that. So, what are you going to do? So at this point, there are 6 men in the match. Cody Rhodes, who's been in since number 3. CM Punk, who's been in since number 10. And then there's also Rey Mysterio, The Rock, Jey Uso, and Drew McIntyre. And then the buzzer goes off for number 30. It's unfamiliar music. Not music WWE fans have heard before. But the man who walks out on the stage is anything but unfamiliar. He's better than you, and you know it. Entry number 30 is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. Is this unlikely? You better believe it is, but it does have a few things in its favor. For years now, the report has been that MJF's AEW contract is set to expire in January 2024. We are currently in January 2024. I don't know when in January it's going to expire, but it is set to expire sometime this month. So that's one point in its favor. The other is that recent reports have said that MJF has not signed a new AEW contract, which opens the door for a possible WWE debut. Now, I don't think it's going to happen instantly because, well, he's got a thing going with Adam Cole right now. But if they're not going to follow up on that, and the devil and his disciples or whatever attacking MJF at World's End was the end of MJF, then having him show up in WWE, being reborn in a sense, makes sense to me. Everyone just stares at him speechless, especially Cody and Punk. MJF stares a hole through both of them. He just smirks, laughs, and then immediately turns around and eliminates Rey Mysterio. Right off the bat, doesn't give it a second thought. MJF then comes face to face with The Rock, who goes for a rock bottom on MJF, but MJF counters, and because the Rumble is, remember this, no DQ, he hits The Rock with a low blow. Tries to eliminate him, but Cody pushes him out of the way, sees that The Rock is okay, and then eliminates The Rock himself. Rock looks at Cody, confused as to why he eliminated him, but Cody looks back at him and shouts, "You don't get to start your story until I finish mine." Cody stares a hole through The Rock, but he's then hit with a Glasgow Kiss by Drew McIntyre. McIntyre sets up a Claymore, but is then hit with a super kick by Jey Uso and thrown over the top rope. Drew McIntyre's been eliminated, which means we are down to 4. The final 4 of the 2024 Men's Royal Rumble. MJF, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Jey Uso. MJF walks over to Jey and hits him with Southampton's Plunge, which for those of you that are unaware is basically a hammerlock DDT. He then looks out at the WWE crowd and celebrates. He is here. He is in WWE, finally. He then walks over to Cody Rhodes and says, "Good to see you, buddy." He then tries to hit him with Crossroads, but Cody counters, hits Crossroads himself, and then eliminates MJF. MJF is out. Punk, Cody, and Jey are the final 3. And we keep these 3 for a while. 3 of the best and most popular stars on the roster right now, and I think they can work absolute magic with each other. So that's what we let them do. High impact move after high impact move for no joke like 6 or 7 minutes before we see Cody and Punk on the apron, on the verge of being eliminated. They are both hanging onto the top rope for dear life. Punk kicks Cody's feet out from under him, which he's dangling just like Shawn Michaels was in 1995, dangling for dear life. He's got one hand on the rope trying to stay in it, but Punk climbs back in the ring and kicks Cody's hand, eliminating Cody Rhodes. So yeah, the story's not getting finished here, but hey, there's an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view coming up. Which leaves us with 2. The final 2 participants in the 2024 Men's Royal Rumble. Jey Uso and CM Punk. And they pull out all the stops. Jey hits a splash. Punk hits a GTS. Jey hits a spear. Punk hits the Pepsi Plunge. And the 2 men are basically, they're out on their feet. They're on their feet, but they are exhausted. They are beat. Punk especially. But they persevere. They keep fighting. Jey runs for Punk, but Punk low bridges. Jey lands on the apron, trying to stay back in it, but Punk holds up the 1 and hits Jey with his own super kick, knocking him down to the floor. Jey Uso has been eliminated, and CM Punk wins the 2024 Men's Royal Rumble match. He stares at both Roman and Seth, playfully acting indecisive as to who he's going to challenge. But the next Raw, he makes his decision, hitting Seth Rollins with a GTS, holding up the World Heavyweight Championship, and cashes in his Rumble win, which sets up Seth versus Punk for the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania. To my mind, there is no better option than CM Punk. I mean, realistically, who else would you have it be? And you can't do Cody again because that's too predictable and it's lazy. Punk winning, while also predictable, makes sense. Because, well, Punk's obviously never won one. He's one of the best to never win one. But it's kind of why he walked out 10 years ago. Because he was undermined as world champion at every turn. Having him win the Rumble and having him go over to win a world championship in the main event of WrestleMania, it'll right the wrongs from 10 years ago. I just think it's thematically fitting. So that's how I would book the 2024 Men's Royal Rumble match. What did you think? Did I miss anybody out? Of course I did. It's a Royal Rumble. Was there anything you would change about the match? Would you change the result? Were you happy with the result? Let me know all of these things in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe. And you can follow me on Twitter here. What should I do next? I take requests. Just let me know in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. I'm Jackson Haney from Insane Internet Wrestling, and I will see you soon.